Good morning and Ramadan Mubarak. Happy Ramadan to those of you who are celebrating that are in my class, my students, my co-workers, and anybody else that may be watching this that will be celebrating Ramadan. I pray that over the next 30 days that God will reveal himself to you in a way that you've never experienced before and in a fresh and exciting way. So I have a story to read to you today about Ramadan, and it's called Laila's Lunchbox. So sit back and enjoy as we read this story. "We won't be needing this for a while," said Laila's mother, hanging up Laila's lunchbox. "Imagine, I won't be eating lunch for a whole month," replied Laila with a twirl. "I won't have to pack lunch for a month," said her mom with a bigger twirl. The year before, Laila had wanted to fast with her best friends Hind and Ishrat during Ramadan, but Laila's mom had insisted that she was too small. Remembering that, Laila stopped twirling. She missed her friends. Moving from one continent to another had been hard. On the map in her atlas, North America and the Middle East were 10 inches apart. But in real life, she was so much farther away. She wished she was only 10 inches away from Hind and Ishrat. She knew the sign on the highway said, "Peachtree City, you'll love to call it home." But she didn't agree with the sign. Abu Dhabi still felt like her home. The next morning, before sunrise, Laila's mom gently nudged her. "Laila," she whispered, "Cherie time." Laila chomped on her chocolate chip pancakes with her eyes closed. "Mmm, delicious," she said. "Come, let's pray now," said her mom. After Sahari, Laila snuggled back into her bed until her mom woke her up again, this time for school. As she left the house, her mom handed her a note. "Laila, please give this note to Mrs. Penworth." Without her lunchbox to carry, her fingers felt extra free and swingy. She felt so light, she skipped to the school bus stop. On the school bus, she read her mom's note. "Dear Mrs. Penworth, this will be Laila's first time fasting for the month of Ramadan, so it is an exciting time for us. Please excuse Laila from lunch for this special month. Thanks, Mrs. Malik." Laila didn't feel so bouncy anymore. What if Mrs. Penworth didn't know about Ramadan? No one else would be fasting with her. She folded the note into a teeny tiny square and hid it in her book bag. Laila walked slowly to her class. Her throat felt dry all morning. When lunchtime arrived, she still hadn't given Mrs. Penworth her note. "Laila, did you forget your lunch?" asked Mrs. Penworth. Laila opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. Samantha volunteered, "I'll share my lunch with Laila." Mrs. Penworth shook her head. "Thank you for the offer, Samantha, but Laila, please get a sandwich from the cafeteria." Laila followed her classmates to the cafeteria. "Laila, do you want some of my cream roll?" asked Anna. Laila thought of telling Anna that she was fasting, but she didn't think anyone at Sunnyvale Elementary School knew about Ramadan. "No, thanks," she started to say. "I didn't bring any." "Are you sure?" asked Anna, unwrapping the cream rolls. Laila watched the cream roll get smaller and smaller, and she didn't feel so sure. Cream rolls were her favorite. She looked away. Her nose still smelled food. Laila wished that she had given Mrs. Penworth the note. Even Isaiah's bologna sandwich looked tasty, and Laila didn't even like bologna. Her stomach rumbled. Suddenly, she had an idea. While everyone was busy eating, she sneaked out of the cafeteria. Her stomach stopped growling. "Why, Laila, it's a pleasure to see you. What brings you here at lunchtime?" asked Mrs. Carmen, the librarian. Laila felt safe among all the books. She opened her mouth, and this time the words tumbled out of her mouth. Laila told Mrs. Carmen that Mrs. Penworth and her classmates didn't know that she was fasting. She told her how much she missed Hen and Ishrat. It felt good to tell someone all the words that had been inside her mind all morning, and especially to tell her about Ramadan. Mrs. Carmen understood. "You must feel special to fast this Ramadan," said the librarian with a smile. "I do," said Laila, "but why is it so hard to explain?" "You know what I always do when I can't get my thoughts out? Or when I get shy about something?" asked Mrs. Carmen. "I write my thoughts down." Laila got to work. She wrote neatly, adding extra loops to her capital L. She worked so hard that her cheeks turned pink. "Dear Mrs. Penworth, I didn't forget my lunchbox today. It's Ramadan. My mom finally let me fast. This means I won't be eating lunch for a whole month. Sincerely, Laila. P.S. I'm Muslim. P.P.S. My mom wrote you a note too. Here it is. P.P.P.S. Here's a poem I wrote about Ramadan. Ramadan is a month Muslims celebrate, a time to count our blessings and appreciate. Muslims fast before sunrise to sunset. But wait, that's not all just yet. Ramadan is a time for lots of prayer. We help the poor to show we care. So in the day, I won't be eating any food, but hopefully I will stay in a good mood." Laila hurried back to the cafeteria to join her class. Before school was out, she quietly dropped both notes onto Mrs. Penworth's desk. The next morning, Laila swung her fingers as she waited for the school bus. Would Mrs. Penworth like her poem? Laila hoped Mrs. Penworth wouldn't think she had forgotten her lunchbox again. She slowly climbed each step on the school bus. In class, Mrs. Penworth didn't say anything, so Laila wondered what had happened. At times like this, she wished she had Hen and Ishrat with her. They would know what to say. At lunchtime, Laila's feet felt heavy. She was sure Mrs. Penworth hadn't seen the notes. Everyone would think she had forgotten her lunchbox again. As she was leaving class, Mrs. Penworth patted Laila on the back and handed her a message. Mrs. Penworth had made her capital L in Laila's name extra loopy. "Dear Laila, I enjoyed your lovely poem about Ramadan. I'm impressed that you're fasting. What a special time for you. You and your family must be thrilled. Would you share your poem with the class today after lunch? You could go to the library this month instead of the cafeteria. Mrs. Carmen is excited to see you. Sincerely, Mrs. Penworth." P.S. Mrs. Carmen told me you missed your friends. I hope you keep making new friends with our class. Laila twirled all the way to the library. She couldn't wait to share her Ramadan poem with her class. Later, after iftar, she would celebrate this day. Once again, Ramadan Mubarak. Have a wonderful 30 days and enjoy your time with your family and, unfortunately, long distantly, enjoying with your extended family and friends. So have a wonderful day and a wonderful weekend. Goodbye.